Three,
2, 1.
one.
What's going on? How you doing?
Not bad. I was just going to say that countdown was perfect.
Yeah, it was.
We got it both at the same time.
Yeah, it was fucking wild. Yeah. First of
We're
all,
back, though.
we are back
Yeah.
though again from another short hiatus. It seems to be
Yeah.
a bit of a trend. But nevertheless, it feels great to get back into the swing of things,
There's this
man.
thing called life that we've.
It's this thing called life that like it just sort
do
of.
it.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just it happens.
It's a bit mid, but
It's kind of mid. It's mid as fuck. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. It's
end credit scene's fucking mid, dude. Like,
Yes, bro. It's fucking nah.
CGI's mid as well, man.
Bro, Goku fucking he negs.
Bro,
Life.
Goku next life, dude.
Goku
God.
negs life, man. It's clear as fucking day. I just want to point out real quick. Let's get the merch.
Oh
Look at
yeah,
that shit.
mine's
Look at that
in my
shit.
other
Represent, right? Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna represent our state real quick and one of our favorite comic book stores. Our boy Michael has hooked us up with some pretty neat hats. And I wanted to just plug our favorite store real quick because again we get a lot of books that we review or issues that we go over.
Yeah.
We typically pick up from Adelaide, and so yeah, we want to represent. Kind of give them a little shout out. They're doing an amazing job supplying all the goods. Yeah.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Greenlight and Gamma Ray. Who I put the flyers in the other day, and they're doing really well. The guy at Gamma Ray said a few people have been taking them. The few people I put them at my job, and people have been. I've seen a lot of people take them as well.
Yeah.
I had someone ask about it. Someone said, how's it going? Like, when's the next one up? And they checked that they really like the first one, and so they've been checking it out. And a lot of parents have been like, oh, like my kids enjoy it and all that. So I'm like, this is it. We're doing.
That's it, man. Yeah, no, for real, absolutely. I think it's great that the kids take interest in like our stuff, man. It kind of makes me realize that I gotta kind of like lower on the profanity a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But like,
like, oh, my kid's gonna watch it, and then I was like, oh my god, there's so
exactly, bro. Your kids are gonna watch it. Okay, yeah, facts. All right, we can work around that. I don't know.
But they will enjoy the Sandwich Wiki jokes if they watch the MCU.
Oh, bro,
hopefully they enjoy. Hopefully they enjoy
man.
us losing our minds over the Henry Cavill stuff. Would have been great. in the Flash one.
That was, oh my god, that's such my favorite like time mark on the whole episode.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite moment I've done, especially so far.
Favorite moment on the podcast.
Yeah,
probably like that's peak Mozambique.
Oh, Mozambique,
bro. Mozambique. Oh my god, Mozambique.
Change the Instagram.
That's what
we're changing names again.
Mozambique. All right,
Mozambique, bro. We're changing the names again.
No, we're gonna have to, man. Seriously.
We'll get straight into it though. Me and Liam, the other Friday, we went out buying comic books. What's new.
Exactly.
And we had a really good discussion about Batman Begins, and it got me thinking about the next episode. And I thought, oh, you know what would be really good if we cover origin movies, superhero origin movies.
I thought that.
And so me and Liam have got a list here, and before we go into it, you guys probably have so many more that you could name off, and for me, I try to steer away from MCU movies as much as possible in terms of this episode because, like, literally, the MCU introduced us to a whole plethora of characters. So, like, every second movie was an origin movie. So I mean, the MCU could be like entire like its own episode.
Essentially, yeah.
And then on this one, I really want to get down, like, obviously, like whether or not you like the movies are good or not. I think the important thing about this episode is kind of like why these are great origin movies. And what makes them work and what makes you like fall in love with the character instantly. So I think we'll start off with Batman Begins, and we'll kick off with Liam because Liam was the one that actually brought up Batman Begins when we were talking about it.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, so pretty much that's true. I think we went out last time we went out. I just sat down and I rewatched Batman Begins, I think last year. And like I said, I'm a big fan of anything Christopher Nolan. Haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, but obviously he's incredible.
Yeah.
He's the best. The GOAT. He's great.
Yeah.
And again, I decided to sit down and rewatch the entirety of the Dark Knight trilogy. GOAT trilogy. And I realized that I think Batman Begins. It was the first Batman movie to take the origin in a really, really intriguing direction.
Yeah.
That kind of like, and I think it was the first Batman origin film to really go over like, yeah, all right, we all know Thomas and Martha's death and the effect that had on the psychology of Bruce Wayne as a kid, and again, like Michael Keaton's movies, they had that skipped over. But
Ben
I love
Affleck
how
had it skipped over as well.
yeah,
in
exactly,
Batman vs
yeah.
Superman.
Like, but what I love about Batman Begins is it explores sort of the process of him like killing the idea of Bruce Wayne and just adopting Batman, like this ideology of Batman, and him like learning from Ra's al Ghul, and his time in isolation. And like the fear of bats as well was also something that I think was really well
a great
done.
touch, yeah.
Even again when he falls down the well and they just explore that fear, and then obviously it comes back years later as an adult. I really love the whole Joe Chill stuff as well in Batman Begins. How he, again the whole philosophy behind the gun, and how his father would be disappointed in him. It's probably the most emotionally. Like it's the Batman origin story with the most emotional depth. I'll be completely honest.
Sure, yeah.
And it's for me. Look, I love the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's great. It is one of the best films that Christopher Nolan has produced. I'm not gonna lie, I low-key prefer Batman Begins over the Dark Knight. I know there's a controversial opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll quickly say with that, I actually enjoy the Dark Knight Rises more than the Dark Knight. But I'll get back to.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. But yeah, I think Batman Begins is a standalone. Christopher Nolan really it was more about the psychology of Batman and the whole philosophy behind the no kill rule, which again, not a lot of Batman origin stories or even origin comic books really went over. Michael Keaton's Batman, we love him, obviously.
Yeah.
But, he was very prone to even, killing in some of his movies. He said, I will kill you, Joker. He had grabbed him by the throat and said, I'm going to kill you, And it's I love, the idea of the no-kill rule, and that's explored, actually, and brought to the viewer's attention.
And then you have Batfleck playing fucking Call of Duty Warzone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the whole bat tanks and shit, bro. Bro clearly has no enemies. You know what I'm saying? He clearly reached.
Yeah, because he fucking kills them all.
Exactly. Literally. But honestly, I think Batman Begins is a perfect origin. And just when he finally comes through with adopting the identity of the Batman, I think it's just really well executed. And yeah, it perfectly sets up the trilogy as well, which is what I love about it. Is it perfectly, it's the perfect start to a pretty great conclusion. I can't lie. The whole trilogy, it's all one beautiful masterpiece. But I think Batman Begins is the greatest Batman origin story that we've seen, and honestly, I think it's probably going to be the only one we're going to get, because I don't think Robert Pattinson needs an origin story.
No.
Which is fine. Robert Pattinson's great.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really need one. And Brave and the Bold, I think, is just picking up around the time when Damien's Robin. So obviously we're not getting an origin story there. But that's the thing, we don't need one. But I think Batman Begins is the perfect Batman origin story. And in terms of film, that is the best we've gotten.
Yeah, I think, and what you were saying about he didn't need an origin story. I remember we were sitting in the food court, and I remember saying to you, especially with that character, and you have the big three of comic books you have, with Batman, Spider-Man, and Superman.
Yeah.
Those characters you don't need an origin story for, because they're the biggest characters in the world. I was pointing to random people. I was like, I bet if you went up to him and said, "How did Spider-Man get his powers?" and they'd be like, "Oh, he got bit by a spider." How did Superman get his powers? Oh, he's an alien and he came to Earth.
It's pop culture, you know, like
Yeah,
it's common.
it's ingrained in pop culture.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love in a part of that movie is that moment of the when he's been told to kill that guy, and Ra's al Ghul's like, do it, like kill him, and then he kind of like you can see in the amazing performance by Christian Bale, that he wants to do it because it's that rage that's built up inside of him, obviously from like, you know, and then he realizes that he needs to be better than that, and then from that point onwards he finds Batman, like he finds this thing about Batman, and I think and like you said, bringing it back with the fear of bats, he had a fear of bats, and then it's like, oh, you know, if I'm scared of bats, it's try and emulate that fear into everyone else, and it's really perfect having that idea of fear. That Scarecrow's the villain as well in it as well. Cillian Murphy plays Scarecrow, and obviously his whole thing's about fear. So it's really a good play on that idea of fear and kind of playing around with those characters. And I haven't watched it in a long time. I need to sit down and watch it again. I remember watching it for the first time. I was scared shitless of Scarecrow. But yeah, it's a great origin movie. I recommend people give it a second chance because it is very looked down on as well, especially since the Batman's come out as well. Like, people just say nothing else matters anymore. I do recommend people go check out the Batman Begins movie. And staying on DC, we'll go to the greatest DC character of all time, which is Superman. And
Booster Gold. Oh. Booster Gold, right? Yeah. Pretty sure it's Booster Gold.
Now we're going to Superman 70. Chris Pratt, but Ryan Gosling, Booster Gold.
Ryan Gosling is Booster Gold.
Something inside you.
Hard to explain. Goku. Yeah.
Yeah, Goku. Literally Goku. No, but Superman 78, it's funny. Literally, last Sunday I watched Man of Steel. Of course, why wouldn't I?
Exactly.
It's like asking someone, "Did you breathe today?" You know, like, you know, it's just ingrained into my, like, you know, to just watch it all the time.
Yeah, facts.
But it was really funny because I was gonna watch the Batman because it was Batman Day the other day. So it's like, I'll go home. It was, yeah. I'll celebrate Batman. I'll watch the Batman, and I go in the living room, and Mum's like, "Oh, look what's on the TV," and I said, and it was like Man of Steel. I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go. All right, let's put it on." So I sat and watched, obviously, Man of Steel. And I was watching it, and I texted Liam afterwards. I said, "Oh, I'll just watch Man of Steel again." And Liam's like, "Oh yeah, what's new?"
Whoa, weird.
And I said to him, I've come to realize it's not the best Superman movie. Like, I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. Obviously, you all know my stance with Henry Cavill's Superman. I absolutely. Why did you say that name?
My God.
Like, I love that version. I love his performance of Superman. But watching it again, I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, Superman 78, it's just like everything. It's just, I think it's perfect. Yeah. It really. I mean, obviously, we get the cool kind of like. We get the typical Krypton. I mean, bloody Marlon Brando playing Jor-El. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. And then we get Clark, like, coming to Earth. And I like it because it doesn't really, it doesn't really skip. Oh, fuck. I swore again. I'm so sorry. It doesn't really focus on Clark finding his love and humanity when he's on the farm in Smallville. It just kind of sets up that he can't save everyone. That, you know, like when his dad has the heart attack, you know, he realizes he can't save anyone and he has to do something more. It's when he's in Metropolis, that's when the real movie starts, I think. And just that beautiful montage when he first comes out, Superman, and he saves Lois from the helicopter, and then he's going around Metropolis and
you got me, who's got you?
yeah, I love
it's so good.
And then even on the rooftop, man, it gets me every time when the Lois Lane's just like, "Who are you?" And then Superman just goes, "Friend," and then flies to the that's just beautiful, man.
It is beautiful, man.
And then like like he's cracking jokes like on the boat, and the guy hits him with the crowbar, and he's like, "Good vibrations." Great joke. And then like it even takes fun out of, like, he literally saves a cat out of a tree.
Yeah.
He goes and saves it, and then I just think he like through that montage, you just see him loving being Superman. He loves helping people. He loves inspiring people. And then I mean, Lex Luthor's such a great villain in that movie as well. Gene Hackman, incredible performance. And you can see like Lex Luthor who hates people, who hates society, and thinks he should be number one. And then that awesome dynamic when Clark first meets him, and realizes that he just can't believe someone like Lex Luthor just disregards human life like this.
Yeah.
And it just fuels him even more to become a better superhero, to become a better Superman. And then we get the great scene when he thinks Lois died. You know, when the rocks fall on the car, he thinks Lois Lane's died. Which is
turns back time and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and he literally flies around the world, turns back time. That's really cool. Yeah. But like Kevin Feige said, it's the pinnacle of what a great origin movie should be. You know, it's a 10 out of 10 Superman movie for me. Sure. I'm actually gonna watch it again on my next day off.
Dude, like seriously, invite me over.
Okay.
I'm serious. I need to watch it again, man. And it's like, who better else to like experience that movie with? You know.
I mean, just the score. I mean, I know a lot of people love the Hans Zimmer score more. But the score of like the dun, 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 it's just classic, man. You can't beat it.
It honestly, it's timeless. Like, I like to think that wherever you find David Corsett, like typically wherever he is, like paparazzi following him, typically that theme song follows him everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. I think it's iconic, man. Like, I think it's like again, the most iconic. Probably, honestly. I dare say it's probably the most iconic superhero theme. I think it is. It would be.
That and Batman, like the
yeah.
like,
I don't know.
Probably...
Some people like mostly like if they think of Batman, they usually think of like the Adam West. You know that whole guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, yeah, or maybe even Spider-Man, even like the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's your theme song, bro.
From a soda can. Yeah. That's it.
But no, Superman 70, like you said, it's a timeless classic, man. Like, there's so much to say about this movie. I don't want to, because this episode will be like 7 hours long if I keep going.
That's
but I just love it, and it's just like, I mean, obviously the suit's great as well, but I think, like I wanted to say, like, you know, it's what makes it a great origin movie is I think you just fall in love with this idea of Superman.
Yeah.
You don't really fall in love with Christopher Reeve. You fall in the idea of a Superman that, you know, and especially the interview with Lois Lane on the rooftops, really good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That is great. I love that scene.
Lois
that
says,
whole
you know,
scene.
Like why are you here? Like, why are you here? You know, and he goes, I'm here, you know, to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Obviously, now it's a better tomorrow, but at that point. Yeah. And you know, in '78, that was his saying. That was his slang. You know, that was like Spider-Man's with great power comes great
responsibility. Essentially, yeah.
You know, and so it's just great. I think you just fall in love with this idea of Superman. And I was thinking like, this is if someone would have come up to me like, look, I really want to get into Superman. Where do I start? I'm not going to show him Man of Steel. I'm going to show him Superman 78.
Do you like pink?
Oh yeah.
That gets me every time, dude. Like, it's funny as fuck. I also really, really love. I think my dad thinks that the Lex Luthor actor, like I can't remember the name of the actor, Gene Hackman as Lex. My old man thinks he can't be topped, and honestly, like he's definitely.
Yeah, I fully agree with your old man, man. Yeah, he was amazing.
He is incredible. Yeah, menacing as fuck.
I mean, obviously, talking about Superman, then you can't have Superman without Clark Kent, and I think Christopher Reeve is the best Clark Kent we've ever got. I just love how awkward he is, and just like, you know, and it's again, you don't fall in love with Superman, you fall in love with the idea of Superman, but along that, you fall in love with Clark Kent, and just kind of like how clumsy he is and how bright-eyed he is, and like, you know, and I do love the line with Lois, like he's so nice and he doesn't really want to like. I think Lois is putting a jacket on and he doesn't really know how to like interact, you know. And then Lois goes like, "Do they make many of you where you come from?" And he's like, "Oh, really?" I love that. I think that's a really just fun line.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, his Clark Kent was great, and it's again like you fall in love, and that's the thing about that movie that I love as well. Like I like with Man of Steel, you don't fall in love with Clark Kent, you fall in love with Kal-El. and
Yeah. Okay.
you don't like, because the whole movie everyone calls him Kal-El. Like you hear Kal-El all the time,
Yeah. Right.
and obviously I love Clark Kent more than Kal-El. If you know what I mean, like they're two different characters, Kal-El and Clark.
Yeah,
And so
they
with
are.
that movie, Clark, it's about Clark Kent, which I just absolutely love. I will get you to go on to the next movie because my laptop's about to go flat, so I'm just gonna plug it in.
No, you're fine. I agree with you though. Like, I mean, I think Clark is, like the contrast between Kal-El and Clark is, like Clark's a Smallville, high school kid trying to
Yeah,
find his way, and who's been brought up by Jonathan to just, be kind to, and stick up for the little guy. I think that's, and in contrast with Kal-El, who has this written destiny and has this just fate, he just, be told, he has to leave this legacy for his parents and stuff.
yeah.
I think, but yeah, I think Superman 78 is just, again, it's the film that walked. So everyone else, Marvel included, could
Literally, quite
Yeah.
literally, yeah.
That's the film that started it all. Let's get that like crystal clear, because like we would not be anywhere without Christopher Reeve as Superman. That's a common fact. I think he was one of the people, and that film definitely shaped the genre, especially for that time period. I
For
think
sure.
a lot of people, like during that time as well, kind of just regarded the whole genre as a joke, and it's for kids and isn't meant to be taken seriously. And superhero movies can't have heart, but Superman is the character that first and foremost disproves that theory. And I guess that film was always going to have a really deep appreciation, even in the hearts of diehard Marvel fans. Because
Literally, I mean, Kevin Feige said it's the blueprint for all of his Marvel movies.
exactly,
There you go.
100%, yeah. And that's, I mean, what else do you need to say? Like, it's kind of just pretty self-explanatory. But I mean, yeah. But I think Superman 78. I need to watch it with you again, man. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's such a. I mean, speaking of Superman 78, I literally have the duo Funko Pop of Superman,
wow.
and then I can't show it here, but you know the scene where Lois and Superman
They're
are flying
flying
in the air
and
and
yeah,
they're holding
yeah.
hands. It's that Funko Pop, and then you just push them
Nice.
together, and their hands like linked, like they're interlinked. They're interlinked.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
But I mean that's how much I love this movie, man. I literally have like the Funko Pop. I mean, there's our boy right there, Christopher Reeve.
Oh god, bro.
But we'll go on to the next. I mean, my second. No, I mean, technically my third favorite character of all time. We'll go on to Captain America: First Avenger, which me and Liam just absolutely love.
I love this film so much. I love it more than The Winter Soldier. Let me just get that
for sure,
straight
yeah.
off the back. Straight off the back. I gotta say, man, like I saw this. Is it okay if I go first?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Excellent.
I just rambled on for like 20 minutes about Superman.
Yeah, true. That's fair enough. Listen, man, this film, like, it's literally a comfort film for me. I'm being dead serious, man. It's literally a film I watch when I'm at my lowest. And again, it's a story about morality, and it's a story about sacrifice and nobility. Again, it has, I mean, Captain America has like a lot of qualities and a lot of values and more similarities. I mean, you could compare him to Superman.
Yeah, he's Marvel's Superman.
He's essentially like he's wired similarly. He has the sense of patriarchy, and if I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but again, they're very similar characters. But I mean, I love how the idea of just him coming from nothing. But again, like, yeah, is he small and fragile and skinny and people underestimate him? Absolutely. But what I love about him, regardless, is the whole, I can do this all day.
Yeah.
That attitude, that way of thinking and that way of persevering. And again, Captain America, without a doubt, is probably the one Marvel character that perfectly embodies the indomitable human spirit. And I think that when you watch the first Avenger, that is so clear off the bat. That is so like, I mean, I think obviously it's a massive focal point of the movie, but again, he would literally lay down his life without a second thought if it meant protecting anyone. He's a protector, and I love that. And I love how he's just so considerate, and he's not a soldier but a good man. And I love this film that line alone,
The
like,
whole
sold me.
conversation with him and the
That
doctor
whole,
on the
yeah,
bed the night before was great. Yeah.
yeah, and that was the one scene that like completely sold me. Like I was like, bro, I need to be like Steve Rogers, man. It literally made me think like, I need, like, this is the character I should aspire to be like in that whole scene. And it's just, man, like, he is essentially, how Deku feels about All Might in season one. How he's
Yeah.
like cheering him on and like looking up to him as a role model and an idol, and that's me. That's us with Cap. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just.
Yeah,
I
literally.
don't
Yeah.
I don't talk about Cap as often as I should.
No, the
I
same
mean,
here. Yeah.
but like, I gotta say, man, like, he is the groundwork for, like, I mean, he's one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time, man. And it's like, he's a character that inspires me to be better every day, And again, I don't say that often, but like, he's helped me. My character's helped me a lot. Want to aspire to be greater and to be better, and to want to help people, similar to Spider-Man in a really,
Yeah.
really a different sense. But yeah, just moral strength, I feel, is a really massive focus on the first Avenger. And it really made me think, because I need to watch it again. But they don't really make movies like that anymore,
No,
and
but I just don't think they make characters like that anymore. They don't make
they
characters
don't.
like
Yeah,
Cap or
that's
Superman
it.
anymore.
No, they really don't. And I think the first Avenger is, again, Chris Evans will always be the greatest Steve Rogers. I know there was that one film like prior after it came out that it wasn't the whole like rubber ears thing.
Oh, the
like
80s, the 70s or
the
80s movies.
yeah, like that was I watched that with our mate John. Actually, I think I was drunk, but that was that was an interesting time. But yeah, Captain America: The First Avenger, like, is just, to me, is a perfect Marvel film that surrounds around morality and self-sacrifice. And again, Peggy Carter as well, and her presence in the movie, and
Oh, yeah.
how she motivates Steve, and is just it's touching. It's really touching. I think their relationship in this movie is touching. I think Cap's journey from how desperate he is to serve, and how he eventually gets that in the best way, is just, I think if I could describe Captain America: The First Avenger in one word, inspiring.
Oh,
Really inspiring.
Without a doubt. I mean,
Without a doubt.
that movie came to me such a significant time in my life. That there was so much going on in my life, like a lot of family problems, and school problems, and that movie comes out, and I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid. So I mean, like, I quite literally saw myself on the screen when watching that movie.
Yeah.
But there are so many scenes. Like the one scene I remember literally sitting there watching it, and then when this one scene came on, I was like, okay, this is my life now. Was when he goes, after he says goodbye to Bucky, he goes to try get in again. And then that's when he first meets the Doctor. And then the Doctor is he's like, do you want to kill Nazi? And then he's like, I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from.
Love that.
That from that moment on, I was like, oh my god, like it's very same as you. It's like that. I literally need to be like that. Like, I need to be like,
100%, man.
And it's and with him wanting to serve, and he keeps trying. He's so desperate to help. Like, he's so desperate to get in there and help, and he feels like he doesn't. To him, it doesn't sit right with him sitting on the sidelines and letting his friends and fellow Americans, die in a war that they didn't ask for. So he feels so desperate, and then I think that's why everyone else needs to be like this whole thing to just wanting to help as much as you can, helping everyone. Like especially in these times in society, helping everyone in your country as best as you can, and try and kind of try and spark that hope again, like Captain America did for America in that moment. Nobody really had any hope, and then he comes along, and everybody has hope in the war, and just people in general. I mean, you see Peggy Carter, she's a woman in such a male-dominated field, military woman, and then she meets someone like Steve. She goes, there's more people like this. Like, not everyone's just thinking about doing it, and not everyone's looking at me in a certain way, and like, he actually cares about for me and my personal being and my goals, and like, we he actually cares about me as a person. Like he actually cares.
Mm.
And like you were saying that I could do this whole day is like the strong message throughout this whole theme.
Yeah.
I mean the other,
trilogy.
yeah, exactly the whole. I mean throughout
Yeah.
his whole character within the entire MCU, and that they're going back to him wanting to desperately help. How he just runs into the line of fire when he learns that Bucky's been captive, and they say to him like, Steve, you don't know whether you're bulletproof. He goes, I don't care. He goes like, I genuinely don't care. My friend's in danger. Like that's all that mattered to him is getting Bucky out of there and getting him alive. And so like like you said, that movie. I always turn that movie on whenever I'm feeling low, and it always kind of like gets me back up again and wanting to do better and just be a better person and just that character in general is just so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
And speaking of inspiring characters, we'll keep on this trend. We'll go to you, and I'll hand it over to you because we'll talk about Spider-Man 1. The movie in 2000. Spider-Man 1, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1. Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 1, I should say. That was, I guess we say Superman 78 kicked it off, and then I think Spider-Man 1 really kind of kicked it off, being in 2000. I'll hand it over to Liam because obviously nobody loves Spider-Man like Liam, so I'll get him
This is true.
to take over.
Yeah. Sorry, a bit tired. I think Spider-Man 1. Wow. Yeah, this is it's a great film, is what it is. I think I remember seeing this film when I was about maybe 3 years old. And I guess as a kid, obviously, you're so enthused and you're excited to watch it, and it's your first exposure to the character. You're like, oh my god, like he can stick to walls and he can spin webs and he has super agility. And as a kid, like you're amazed by that. As an adult, when you actually watch it and you dissect the movie and you understand and have a lot of empathy, especially towards Harry Osborn, which I'll talk about later, it is a very, very well put together origin story for Spider-Man. I think it takes a lot of cues, a lot of really good plot points from Amazing Fantasy, and doubles them. Because one thing that a lot of people overlook about Spider-Man 1, it was that prior to this movie, the whole with great power there must also come great responsibility obviously was never initially from an Uncle Ben character or from Uncle Ben, sorry. It was just a speech bubble. It was an idea that Stan came up with. And what I love about it is that this is the first film where it makes so much sense for Uncle Ben to want to be the one that tells him that. And I think it kind of just really, Uncle Ben's character in this film is made so much more important. And again, in comics, like people, he's just this figure in Peter's life that just wasn't unfortunate. It's a canon event, obviously. But I guess Spider-Man 1 is just really the movie that kind of makes him like a more important and a more when he does get shot, it's more like, oh shit, because obviously he had a lot of importance in Peter's life and taught him that lesson. But I think again, and it takes a lot of really good ideas from Ultimate, especially with the relationship between Harry and Peter. And again, I loved Harry and Norman in this film, and I think, as much as horrible as Norman was a father, he plays a pretty horrible father, and it's really good, and again, it's just it's perfect. I'm trying to find the right words for it, because this is actually a brilliant film. It is, especially when you get older and you start watching it. And again, when you dissect it, and it has more emotional depth compared to when you watch it as a kid. And look, I can't deny, not all of Spider-Man's quips in this film exactly land, especially up to today's standards. But overlooking that, this is back when it wasn't all CG, it was all practicality, and I guess the scripts had a lot more meaning, but the scripts were a lot more meaningful. And they played around, and they could try things, instead of limiting themselves. And I think Sam Raimi was really a character that understood, the emphasis of the origin story within Spider-Man, and what that means for so many people. So it was kind of like the first time seeing not only the origin story, but seeing Spider-Man on the big screen. Obviously, it was a really big deal, and yeah, they changed up a lot from Amazing Fantasy, but like not too much. And yeah, again, it's like the whole compilation. What I love about this film is the compilation of when he's like, sketching out new suits, and he's
Oh
like,
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
and he's just trying to get the car for MJ, and again, I will go over. I think Spider-Man 1 I think MJ in Spider-Man 1 is good. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
I think
think,
yeah, I think it's the later movies that she's not great, but
yeah.
yeah, Spider-Man One, I think she's amazing in
In
it.
Spider-Man 1, MJ's character was actually very, very well written. And again, I really loved like Kirsten's performance in that film. I thought she like does a really good job with what she's given, and she really nails that, that party girl, but also using that to hide the hurt and the abusive home life. And yeah, I think also we got to talk about Aunt May in this film as well.
Oh, she's amazing.
She's
Yeah, she's a
she's
legend.
incredible. Yeah, Rosem, I can't say her name. I can't. And
Rosemary something. Yeah.
Rosemary, yeah, Rosemary. And she was of course part of the writer strike recently. And she's still alive and kicking. Oh man, she's amazing.
She's quite literally Aunt May in real life.
She honestly is, dude. Like it's actually like mind-boggling. But yeah, she plays a really, really she's compared to like Sally Springfield and Marissa Tomei, she's definitely the Aunt May that she's a saint, she's sweet, she has faith, she's basically Aunt May from the Ditko era. And I love that. I think she's incredible in this film, and obviously, she plays a really big part in Peter's, his moral compass and developing that, and he's essentially, she's essentially the voice of reason for Peter in this film, and yeah, it's just it's so awesome, man. Like obviously, Spider-Man 2 is my favorite. But we wouldn't have Spider-Man 2 without this origin story, and it sets up so much. The spider bite, as different as it is like obviously it's not exactly accurate, but that's okay. Is executed pretty well, and again the organic webs, it's fine. I think it's cool personally, gross but cool, and yeah, again, it's full of just all that Spider-Man goodness, and again,
Spider-Man goodness.
Spider-Man goodness. But yeah, I think Goblin in this film is really good as well. I really love the speech from Goblin to Peter about like in the end they will all hate you, like
on the rooftop,
and, yeah, it's it's just a very, really makes you think scene. You know what I'm saying? Like Goblin's just one of those characters that really plays with your mind and plays with your own moral compass. And I really feel that in this movie. I think yeah, and again, I'll tell you what I do love about this film, though. As cheesy as it was, obviously flashback to the scene where Goblin makes Peter choose between Mary Jane and the kids, and and the thing. And what's funny about that is obviously the whole, I can do both, which happened later. Well, I'll talk about that on the Spider-Man episode, but obviously he ends up saving both MJ and the kids. Miguel O'Hara, where you at? That's an anomaly. Well, I'm playing. But yeah, and then obviously I love it because it's so wholesome. But all the citizens just start throwing shit at Goblin, saying, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
obviously this was like a post September 11th, and obviously it was a really
Yeah.
big thing at that given time. I thought it was beautiful personally. I
Yeah, I
I
thought,
really understand it.
yeah,
A lot of people think it's cringe. I think it's actually like looking back, it's like yeah, and I fuck with it. I fuck with it in a big way. Like I
yeah.
love when they all come together and just like it's beautiful, man. Seriously, like how can you like hate that? And yeah, I think it's yeah, just all around. Like it's a really good Spider-Man origin story. I love the wrestling match is really great. Like, I mean, there's just I'm sorry, like, but there's
I
just
got
so
you for
much.
3 minutes. Three
I got
minutes
you
of
for three
playtime.
minutes, bro.
As a
We had
wrestling
said three
fan, seeing
thousand.
Macho Man in that scene was amazing.
Yeah, Macho Man was fucking wild as fuck, dude. Yeah, damn. Yeah, it said 3,000. Um, but yeah, no, I fucking love this movie so much, man. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely a necessity to any Spider-Man fan because it's like this is a movie that changed again. Probably again, Marvel wouldn't be Marvel without it. So
No, I mean
yeah,
that was a big investment in them back in the day to make that movie. But going back to that scene on the bridge you were saying about how when they
yeah,
start throwing the rocks and that at Goblin,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's such an incredible journey for him in that movie because we all know Spider-Man. People think Spider-Man's a menace. He's a menace. Not many people believe in
Yeah.
Spider-Man. They think he's doing the wrong thing, but then we see over time in that one scene alone, people start to love Spider-Man and they start to realize that Spider-Man's actually a hero and he's here to help and
Yeah.
he's New York's hero. He's not America's hero. He's New York's hero. He's out looking for New Yorkers.
Yeah.
I think the great thing, and then this is something I've told you this story before, and I'll tell you this now.
Yeah.
One of my old film lecturers, we were talking about movies, obviously with film, and he said he thinks all superhero movies are worthless and not really mean anything. And obviously, as a big comic book fan, I was like, what are you talking about, dog?
Yeah.
I was like, it was literally like 2 weeks after the Batman came out. I was like, okay, did you not just watch the Batman? Like, did you not watch that masterpiece? But he goes, there's one superhero movie that I really like, and that's Spider-Man 1. He goes, I think it's the only good one there ever is. I was like, okay, weird choice. I'll hear you out. And then he goes, the reason it's such a great movie is because Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man so he can impress Mary Jane. And I'm like, dog, did you even watch the movie, man?
Yeah. I don't get that.
That's a really funny story. I was sat there looking. I was like, bro, do you even like? Did you even watch the movie? Did you even like process Uncle Ben as an entire character?
Yeah. Sounds like you're just like, oh yeah, no, I say I hate Marvel movies so I can impress chicks. Like,
yeah, nah, bro. You're a mistake.
You're a mistake.
No, but I do talking about Uncle Ben. I do love. I think obviously in Tom Holland's movie we didn't get it, and then I think Toby and Andrew Garfield it was more adaptive from Ultimate Spider-Man. But I think in this one I love the most about it is we literally get to see the guy who shot Uncle Ben. I mean, it didn't really turn out. It turned out to be Sandman in Spider-Man 3, but
I hate that idea. So
yeah, I know it was pretty stupid, but at that point in time we thought it was him, that guy shot
Joe Chill,
yeah, but then it's cool because we get to see that literal moment where he goes, "It's not my problem," and then obviously he goes to Uncle Ben. He realizes that he's dying, and that's a great scene. Amazing performance by Tobey Maguire in that scene.
Yeah. So good.
But then and then he goes to the warehouse, and then we see him, and then he realizes that like he finally understands what Uncle Ben was saying about with great power comes great responsibility. Like he finally gets it. He realizes that he has to become Spider-Man. And then that montage. I mean, I know you love that montage when he's building the suit. It's great.
So yeah, I love that whole montage.
I love the montage afterwards when he first starts appearing, and then they interview the random pedestrians, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this Spider guy's amazing, man. He's out for us, man." I love that. I think that's another great touch, and I think that movie, what it does best, I love that in the comic books, Peter's relationship, or Spider-Man's relationship with New York and New York's people, and
I love the guy with 8 hands. Sounds hot.
And then
he stinks, and I don't like him.
What about is there a Chinese lady in that one? Where she goes, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. And then Peter's like,
Yeah, it's so good.
but I love that. That's the one thing I love about that movie the most is his journey to becoming New York's hero, becoming the Spider-Man that New York loves. And that's one thing I love about Spider-Man. I think the most is that relationship he has with the city.
The city, yeah.
I mean, it's similar to like Batman and Gotham. You know, it's that relationship he has with the city.
We'll meet with that later.
But yeah, Spider-Man 1 is a great. I personally think it's the best Spider-Man origin movie we've gotten. I know you probably might say TASM 1. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna say TASM 1 personally.
TASM 1, that's fair enough. Yeah. Obviously, Tom Holland didn't really get one.
Well, I mean, his whole trilogy was essentially his origin story, really. Yeah. Like in retrospect, yeah.
But I mean, obviously, you guys will cover. I don't want to say too much because you guys will cover that on the Spider-Man.
My favorite Spider-Man origin story is Spider-Man 2017. My favorite animated series.
My favorite Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man Lotus.
Oh god, bro. Nah, like obviously, like with great power, it's a scientific equation. Like I'll go. That's a fucking weird shit. But yeah, sorry, it's funny.
We'll go on to the next origin movie, which is Thor 1, which I think is a very underrated movie.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Thor 1's great. I think look, does it look a bit goofy? Yeah, I think it does. But I mean, I don't think you were ever going to make Thor look cool in the first place. I always thought that character was really cheesy as well.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously, oh my god, I can't believe the guy who plays Odin. What's his name? Anthony Hopkins. That's it.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Hopkins as Odin is amazing. I think Chris Hemsworth, like, it's just unbelievable as Thor Odin. Tom Hiddleston is out of this world as Loki. But I think something amazing that I love the most with that film is how Thor's very arrogant at the start. You know, he's like, I'm becoming the king of Asgard. You know, I can do whatever I want. And then he goes to the Frost Giants and then he starts beating them up and he thinks he can, you know, do whatever he wants. And then Odin, I think a lot of people misunderstand why Odin sent him to Midgard or Earth. I think they thought they did it because he wouldn't have any powers. But Odin sent him to Midgard because he wanted his son to learn what it means to be a god, and not only like what it means to be a king, because the most important thing about being a king is looking after your people. And what you've got to remember is when you become the king of Asgard, you become the king of all 9 realms. And so that was the amazing thing I think a lot of people misunderstand about that movie. I think Natalie Portman and Jane Foster is amazing. I love their relationship in that movie. And then obviously like Thor goes through this amazing journey, and that especially that scene when they're under the stars and Thor explains how, you know, Midgard works and the Bifrost, and you know, Jane Foster's character is like eyes wide open, she just can't believe it. And I think that's such a beautiful written scene, and the chemistry in that scene is amazing.
I think so.
And then I just love also in the scene when Thor gets captive by S.H.I.E.L.D. and Loki comes in and Loki like lies to him, the god of mischief lies to him, and it's that feeling like, even though I know what happens, even when watching that movie again, I'm like, Loki, god damn, that's not the truth, man.
It's just madness. Is it
madness? This is madness.
The whole scene.
But yeah, I think Tom Hiddleston does a great job. And then when he come back, they had that awesome fight in the Bifrost, and Thor makes a decision. He makes a tough decision, and then I think in that moment he learns what it means to be king. And I think that's why I think in Thor 2 it's a great journey, and I won't go into that. And then you get the definitely a movie that definitely came out in theaters of Thor: Love and Thunder. That definitely happened. That's definitely like a thing. That's definitely a movie that came out. We won't go into that. I think Thor 1 is such a great origin movie. It's such a great setup to character that. It's definitely a movie that came out. But they put Goku in that movie, dude.
Right, yeah, that was sold like so much. Have Goku and Thor do that whole handshake and the snake.
Right, Goku. I can't believe they put Goku, Vegeta, and Thor: Love and Thunder, bro. That's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
But yeah, I think it's such a great origin movie, and I think it's an movie done really well for a character that I would never think would be live action, which is Thor.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think Thor 1 is a great origin movie. I think it's a very underrated one. There is another one. I won't go into it. There is another one that's really good, The Incredible Hulk 2008. I don't want to go into it because I think it's for another time. But
is that technically an origin story though?
I think. I mean, maybe no. Actually, maybe that you say that it's maybe because I know it goes over him getting exposed to the gamma radiation, but then when the movie starts, he's already had it.
Yeah,
like he's already been the Hulk for like a year or two.
We're trying to find that inner peace and shit. Like,
it's a great movie by the way. It's
unbelievable. Yeah. It's very, very like no one talks about it anymore. But it's pretty good.
Have you got anything to say on Thor 1 then, Liam, at all?
I think Thor 1 is again obviously introduced Loki. I think one of the best MCU characters. Fight me. But I think it's honestly like a lot of people like really just don't talk about this movie as much as they should be. Like there's a lot of really good stuff in this movie that helps set up like the whole MCU timeline, and it's like it's a story about I think just maturity. I think if I could describe it in one word, it would be it's a story about accepting responsibility, accepting and holding yourself accountable for.
It's really about humanity. Thor learns what it is to be human.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I'd say it's about humanity and just being in touch with it and just being aware of it and maintaining that perspective, whilst king. And being aware of people's vulnerabilities is really an important thing. So it's a really humanizing way of looking at Thor. I don't think Thor as a character was ever really humanized, so this was kind of the first film that really did that. And again, what I love is the last scene in that film when he's talking to Odin and he says I
love that, bro. That line's so good, dude.
I have much to learn, father. Like it's brilliant. It really is. And like it's just it's a really, really sweet movie, man. And again Jane Foster as well. I can't lie.
Jane Foster.
Obviously it introduced
Handmaid, bro. God damn.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. But like obviously it introduced the whole like I love that.
That's great.
That whole interaction in the restaurant and stuff, and it's like it's kind of in comparison to Thor: Love and Thunder, which was definitely a movie that came out in cinema. Definitely came out in cinema and definitely sold some tickets, man. It definitely made some currency. But like in comparison,
definitely sold for some sort of currency.
Definitely had some sort of income. It definitely like obviously they didn't lose any sort of not any sort of I think money. They didn't lose any money. I don't think they lost any money. Getting off track, but you compare the humor in Thor 1 to Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor 1 is like it's definitely humorous like at some times, but the thing is like the jokes in my opinion just land much more
they
better.
land so well,
and it's oh man, it I don't know, everything about this Thor movie just feels right, and it feels like that it doesn't really take itself too seriously sometimes, but again it also just have one of my favorite scenes throughout this whole film is when Thor obviously uncovers Phil Coulson's like way he's keeping the hammer, and he tries to lift Mjolnir.
That great scene in the rain,
and exactly, and it's just man, and it's
he's so confident. He's like, I'll walk in there, I'll lift it, and I'll go home.
Yeah, exactly. Like he thinks it's that easy, and again, it just teaches him to want to be worthy of it, and I think it's just obviously like when he does gain worthiness at the end of the film, it feels so rewarding because he's been in touch with humanity, and he's learned to love, he's learned to not take everything for granted, and just accept the the burden of responsibility that is being king, and obviously reaching for that destiny. So yeah, there's a lot of, and again, sacrifice as well. So yeah, he's I think Thor 1 is really not talked about as often, but definitely an underrated Marvel character.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Talking about Marvel and Pacific, especially Phase 1, my favorite Phase 1 movie. Oh, yeah, I guess my favorite Phase 1 movie. I mean, Avenger is a close second, but my first Avenger is my close second. My favorite Phase 1 movie is Iron Man 1. I just absolutely love that movie, every single second of it. Obviously, I have a lot of nostalgia connected to it. But everything about that movie is so good. And we're kind of going back to what we're saying about Thor. Like, Tony Stark is such an arrogant character because he's so smart and he can do all these things and he has all this money. He thinks he can do whatever. And then he gets humbled really quickly when he gets captured. And then I just absolutely love the relationship he builds with that scientist in the cave. Yeah, and how the scientist says about his family and he can't wait to get out.
Soon.
Yeah, exactly. And then like obviously he learns that like his weapons are being used against Americans. He thought he was building something to protect America, but they were actually being used against him more than for him. So he learns to kind of like become Iron Man. And then the one scene I just absolutely love as well is when he's sitting on the couch and he's watching the town attack. And he's like screwing in the gauntlet. He's just like watching it, and I'm like, I just think that scene's so great because he kind of learns. I think you know what? I think it's very similar to Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility, and I think he learns that the very hard way. He has all this money and technology, and then he realizes he has to become Iron Man. He has to become the superhero. But I just think it's a great way to start off it was the first MCU movie. It's what started everything. It's what we have. It wasn't for that, we wouldn't have She-Hulk. We wouldn't have No Way Home. We wouldn't have had Endgame. Unfortunately, we got She-Hulk and Thor: Love and Thunder out of that. But some negatives come out of some positives.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I just think it's just everything about it. It's just, and the CGI for 2008, it's stunning. The CGI is absolutely stunning. I think the one when he's fighting the tank, and it's that kind of like close-up shot, and you just see his hand come out of the hole, and then you just see those eyes. That's one of my favorite shots in superhero movies. I think it's just so cool. And I mean, we don't have to say anything about Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. He was born to play that character.
He essentially was. Yeah.
I mean, he's like the Hugh Jackman to Wolverine. Nobody else can play that character. I don't care how many times you recast him. I mean, he was born for that role, and I think everything about that movie is great.
For sure. No, 100%. I can really get behind that. I think, because I rewatched this movie a month ago, and I completely agree. Like, first and foremost, I think it's a story about taking, again, his weapons and his ideas, they all backfire on him, literally.
Tony Stark was out of builders in a cave! With a bunch of scraps!
Oh my god. Yeah. And Obadiah Stane as well, also incredible villain. I must say. It's funny how Tony Stark started his career out as Iron Man by fighting a angry bald man and ended fighting an angry bald man.
I never looked at it that way. That's
crazy. Sorry. There's kids that watch this show now. I think Iron Man 1.
We've been swearing quite a bit. Yeah. We do deeply
apologize. Yeah,
we are trying our best.
It's like that, that thing with like Tom Hanks when he was like on what was it? I think like on. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, but I think Iron Man 1, and I think the relationship between Tony and Pepper as well.
I love that. Yeah, that's so great.
They she's scared because I'm his assistant. I can't cross that line. This is uncomfortable. But yeah, again, Tony learns to put like all of his trust in this girl, and yeah, she comes through, man. And she's always there to help pick up the pieces and hold him together, and just be his girl. And yeah, I think Pepper Potts is an amazingly written character, I think, in this movie. And it's a shame that we're not going to see her again in the MCU, but that's obviously that's the actor's choice, and obviously we're going to respect it. But with everything that has come, uh, from her performance in the entirety of the MCU, her first film was just as Pepper was incredible. What I tell you, what scene I really do love is when Pepper is, of course, like, I think she's cleansing out the arc reactor or trying
Oh
to
yeah, that's
like get.
great. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. It's funny, but it's also so wholesome because he says, like, you are the one person, or something across the lines of, like, you were no, it was, you are the most capable woman I know, and I'm just like, man, that shit hits.
That's what starts that relationship with him.
Yeah,
That scene alone.
I love it though. Like, it's one of the most, like, just heartwarming scenes in the entire movie. And yeah, like, also, obviously Rhodey, not played by what's his name?
Don Cheadle.
Not played by Don Cheadle. But yeah, was also really good in this film. It's funny because he's like, oh, next time, baby. There won't be a next time, baby.
Yeah, there won't be a next time.
Unfortunately not. But maybe in the multiverse, maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it was a really, really cool delve into, I guess, the psychology of Iron Man as well. And his origin story, and I love the whole, like, don't waste your life. It was really powerful as well.
Yeah.
I think seeing Tony Stark, build that. Stanley said, like, when he went on set, that, seeing the OG Iron Man suit, in live action was, like, one of the coolest things. Like, the big silver one, big metal one that he makes.
Silver one.
Sorry, metal, iron. Sorry, what the fuck? That's an essential. But
he is Iron Man.
He is Iron Man. But yeah, it was just really fucking cool, man, to see, like, because it looks so much like the comic book counterpart.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
it's wild, man. It's what it is. And yeah, I think it's just a really, obviously, and we have the whole famous, the truth is, I am Iron Man.
The truth is, fucking eggs.
Like, but yeah, it just goes to show that, Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark is, again, untouchable, and this movie proves it. I think Iron Man 1 is probably the best Iron Man movie in the trilogy. Don't get me wrong, I love Iron Man 3. I do. It's my favorite Christmas movie. Fuck me. But yeah, I think Iron Man 1 is, they don't make movies like that anymore. No. And it goes to show. And they can't make movies like that anymore.
No, I think it's great also talking about the character of Tony Stark, seeing a character like that vulnerable in such a dire situation, because I think, as kind of like as a common Joe, seeing rich people get everything and want everything they want and have all this money, you kind of think, I hope the worst happens to you. And then you see someone like that in a situation, like he was in, and then see him, you can't help but want him to get out. And I think that's the great thing about this movie, that again, I think I've said this a lot this episode, you really fall in love with this character, and that is, like, the most vital thing about origin movies. If you don't fall in love with the main character within, like, the first, like, 30-40 minutes, then you've got a horrible movie on your hands.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's the whole objective about this thing, and that's why I think Spider-Man 1 works so well. That's why Superman 78 works so well. Yeah. And I think that's why this movie is just amazing as well, because you fall in love with Tony Stark. You fall in love with Tony and Pepper's relationship. You fall in love with that.
Yeah.
And like you said, I don't think you can get many movies like that these days, and that's a real shame. Hopefully James Gunn can save it. Let's hope. I think he can, but we haven't really gotten a movie like that in a very long time. Very long time, which is quite unfortunate, but hey, we are superhero nerds. We'll keep going to these movies. We'll keep seeing them. We'll keep, it's the life. Was there any other origin movies you could think of before we head on to Comics Corners? Is there any more? I don't want to say any more MCU movies.
Yeah.
We're here for ages.
I want to give a very honorable mention because I know we did say that we would try and not gloss over like a lot of MCU stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't deny this gem, and I watched this film obviously 2 years ago, and I watched it again recently because I just fucking love it. And that movie's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten
Shang-Chi,
Rings.
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
This man,
I haven't watched it since it came out. I really gotta watch it again.
Yeah, this film, man, I could talk about this film for years. You know, I mean, I could talk about it it's like you were Superman 78. I think Shang-Chi is just, it's a story about, identity.
It's about family.
It's definitely about family. But it's also about, self-acceptance as well, which is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Just like, a mother's legacy is a really big thing in this movie. But I think family and love is one of the biggest things. And I think Shang-Chi, as I say it, is just his character in the MCU bro, there's gonna be so much more to come in, and I hope they handle him pretty well, because in this film he's incredible. I think the fight scenes in this movie are amazing. The whole train scene is I don't think anyone can top the train scene in Shang-Chi, man. Like that shit changes you, man. But no, I think and the whole, I love the duality of morality between Shang-Chi and his dad, the Mandarin, sorry. But also I love, kind of, because we were just talking about Iron Man, was, obviously because the Mandarin was fake in Iron Man 3, and so they sort of let the audience know the whole, this is the actual Mandarin, but let's address this thing that happened in Iron Man 3 that kind of confused the whole Mandarin identity, which was really cool.
They brought that actor back, which was really fun as well.
Yeah, they did. It was really, really good. Funny, he was funny. His whole,
it was great.
He was great in the movie. But yeah, I think cameos and guest appearances aside, this is a really good film about family and about love and about our mother's legacy, and about perseverance and about bonding
between the brother and sister. That I think that's a really crucial part about the movie. Absolutely,
man, absolutely. And I love the obviously when the Mandarin sacrifices his rings, willingly passes down the rings to his son, is just a really beautiful scene, man. I get teary every time I watch it, man. I'll be completely honest. Okay, I won't lie. The CG. Okay, I understand that MCU is very prone to CG fights. I don't think the CG fights were
I think they were great. I think they looked really cool.
I think they were great, but I understand it's a very common thing, especially in Phase 4. But I think this is honestly one of the best superhero origin story movies, and I think it's executed amazingly. And I'll leave it at that. But it's an incredible film, and you literally can't go wrong with it. So
no, I definitely got to sit down and watch it again at some point, because I loved every second of it as well. I remember when they announced in the trailers, I was like, I don't care. What is this character? I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I was literally out in town buying comic books, and then at the Palace Nova, I was like, oh, there's a showing in 10-20 minutes. I'll just go. I've got nothing else to do today. I'll just go. Then I remember walking out of the theater oh my god, that was stunning. That was unbelievable.
Pretty good, right? Yeah.
And while you're talking about Shang-Chi, I do have another origin movie I was thinking about. It's called Dragon Ball Z.
Oh my god. No, I was gonna say Morbius, because that's where it's at.
We don't need to go through Morbius. Morbius is its own separate episode. Its own separate episode, dude.
It's
bro,
too
that
good.
Scene when he goes, it's Morbin time.
Yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying. The thing is, Morbius, right? It's too good to be honest. It's gotta have its own But I have its own like 2-part series. That's
literally
how much.
2-part, 3-hour episodes, 6 hours in total, just breaking
That's
down the entire Morbius movie.
a whole mini series just for our Morbius opinions. I love it.
We'll jump
I am
into
a parasite.
we'll jump into Comics Corner now.
Really?
Because I think me and you have 2 books that we are both super excited
I
to
am
share.
very
I'll
excited to
I'll
share.
go with you. You can go first again because I know you're probably itching to talk
Thank
about
you.
this.
I
one.
am itching beyond belief. Okay, so just to clarify, so I have been a Spider-Man fan since I came out of the womb, and
Bro, it came out of the wombs like this.
yeah, bro, literally like. Well, no, hang on, tell me back in. Like, but I gotta say, I have heard about the Superior Spider-Man. I maybe read like 1 issue of it, but I've decided to sit down. Obviously, I was at Toby's last week, and I sat down. I was curious. I was like, man, I've heard so many great things about the Superior Spider-Man. And it's like, I want to see if it's that good. So I sat down for like maybe 2 hours and got through the first volume.
Oh no, that was crazy. That was crazy.
And
I
the thing
witnessed
is,
that shit live.
I was so. This book is Dan Slott can cook, and he
See
can
what I'm
cook.
saying, bro?
Wow.
Everyone bags me for saying Dan Slott's a good writer, and I'm
Dan
like, go
Slott
read
is a
Superior
good writer.
Spider-Man and then come back to me.
Dude, Dan Slott, listen, like with what I'm just reading now, Dan Slott, this is Dan Slott's best. I'm telling you, man. Superior Spider-Man changes you. I'm on volume 2 right now. So this is what I've been reading. I'm loving this book. I'm currently up to issue 8 where he's facing off against the Avengers because they obviously know it's not actually Peter Parker. They suspect it's not Peter Parker.
That's awesome.
There's something off with Spider-Man, and he's facing off against Cap and shit, and he like beats the shit out of Scruple and the Jester. And it's awesome. It's so cool, and I love when he obviously tries to, I'm not gonna spoil it. It's amazing. This book is incredible. This whole series is really good. I'm really keen to finish it. I'm really surprised I didn't pick it up sooner. I don't really. I kind of just thought it was like a one and done thing. I really didn't think it was like that great. Holy fucking. Sorry. Holy flipping heck! This
what
book,
the flip?
Exactly. This Superior, but I gotta say, Superior Spider-Man, it's peak, dude. It is actually peak fiction.
Right.
This stuff is amazing.
Right.
This is
I've been
amazing.
telling people for years about Superior Spider-Man. Nobody listens to me. Now I have someone else.
I'm gonna have to buy it as like an omnibus to be like that. I've
It's coming back as well, so you got to.
It's coming back as well, so it's like exactly, man. Like, I'm really, really keen because this is like, honestly, this might just be when I finish it because I don't know how. There's like 6 volumes.
I think 6. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, 6.
All
right. I honestly am gonna. This is gonna be like one of my top 5 favorite. I'll put it like this. It's already on top of Spider-Man Life Story. And I love
that was
Spider-Man
great. I
Life
remember
Story.
you finished volume 1, and I was like, "Oh, how's volume 1?" And then you said that, and I was like, "God damn!"
Yeah, seriously. Like I'm telling, I just finished volume 1, man. But like, I can already tell you, like, okay, so Spider-Man Blue, Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Man Life Story, Ultimate Spider-Man, of course, is fucking like way up here. But yeah, dude, Superior Spider-Man, dude, Dan Slott, I love you, man. I think you can really handle Spider-Man, especially compared to.
Zeb Wells. Oh, and you read the Zeb Wells issue.
I read the Zeb. I recently
that was
actually
really funny.
picked up.
Tell that story.
That was funny, yeah. So I have it right here. So let's go through this fat fucking stack. Explore again. I'm sorry. But allow it. But
you don't want me to get my stack out. My Superman stack was crazy.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I haven't shown you this, but I picked up this guy. Return of the Spot. I found this guy. It's got the iconic. Yeah. But so I was like, it has I was like Spider-Verse variant. I was like, dude, this looks like a pretty neat, like, Edge of the Spider-Verse, like, in like spin-off, I don't know, like maybe drawing. But I open it up, right?
Yeah, this is great.
I open up the book because I'm just like, you know what? I take it out of the package and I'm like, dude, this looks so clean. Like, and I love the cover. I think it's sick. Like, look at that. That's cool. Yeah. I love it, right? And then I do this. Show you my favorite part. One second.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah, it's the Zeb Wells
Bro,
run.
I got clickbaited. All right, and it's the whole issue where Miss Marvel dies in, not even her own comic, but it's like
You read it as
yeah,
well. You weren't
I
gonna
read
read
it.
it, and I was like,
I
no,
read it.
read it, bro.
I sat through the whole thing
You
and I
might
read
actually
it.
enjoy it. I was like, you might actually enjoy it.
I did not. I think I don't know, man. It's hard to. It's honestly right now. It's hard to like find a few things to appreciate. I guess I don't know. It was cool that the Fantastic Four were there. I guess okay. You know what? All right. I think the Gold Goblin is a cool idea. I guess I think that's all right. I think that's really the only positive thing I can say from the Zed Boss run is the existence of Gold Goblin. But yeah, I'm not. It was funny as though. It was funny as. I love it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, but I'll leave it to you. But yeah, Superior Spider-Man. And definitely not anything Zeb Works.
definitely. I think we got that idea.
Yeah,
I was gonna say when you got your stack, I was like, you don't want to see my Superman stack that I got. I pulled out like
only way to read
box.
comics, dude. Only way to read comics.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you were like, bro, you got a lot of bat. I was like, I remember you were like, dude, you got a lot of Superman there. I was like, bro, it's the only way to read comics, dude.
On God, bro. On God.
But it was really funny. We were saying on the way from like because the gamma rays are kind of a bit just outside of the city, I guess. And then I remember on the way back, we were like, do you ever get that though? Like, you always go like, oh, like I really want, because I've been really want to get into Hulk a lot more. Like, I really want to get into Hulk, but then I'm like, oh no, let me just go check out the Superman stuff.
That's it.
And then you were saying that as well, like, oh, you were like, oh, I really want to get more into like Captain America, and you're like, oh, let's just see what Spider-Man stuff they've got. And you end up with like a fat style of that, of like Superman or Spider-Man, and you're just like,
oh man, I could read the new Bleed Bitter run. Yeah, I could. I might just get into the new Titans run. But what's Spider-Man doing recently? I'm kind of intrigued. Like,
even though I already know, because I'm like, you already know, but you're just like, oh, I'll get it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's fine, it's chill. Broke my whole personality. But...
the book that I read recently, obviously, I got this when I was out with you last Friday. Was the new Batman series, Batman Gargoyle.
Yes.
Gargoyle of Gotham. This book was unbelievable. The trailer for it, they released like an animated trailer for it, and it looks so cool. It's that scene of like, that page I showed you when he's in the guy like walks out to the alleyway and it's just that shadowy figure. It's just like someone animated that, and that was the trailer they dropped for it. So I'm like, oh damn, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
But this is unbelievable, man. This is like heavily, you can tell this book is heavily inspired off the Batman. Just the colors, the art, the way Gotham City is kind of built, and the world around it. And my number one thing about this, and we were having a good chat on Friday about it, is there's one point where Batman is talking to Alfred, and he goes, oh, like, Bruce Wayne needs to do this. And Alfred's like, why did you reference yourself in the third person? He goes, because Bruce Wayne is no longer real. Bruce Wayne died that night. Like, I'm Batman now. And then he goes, I'm going to try and... He goes, I figured out a way to kill off Bruce Wayne so I can become Batman full time. Then Alfred's like, don't do that. That's ridiculous. And Bruce Wayne's like, it's already done. And then the next panel was like all over the news, like Bruce Wayne dies in car crash. Bruce Wayne, unfortunately killed in car crash. So like he really is like delved into this character of Batman, this idea of the Batman. Which is my number one thing why I love Batman the most is I love that Bruce Wayne's the mask and Batman's kind of like who he really is and how he feels most comfortable. That was great, and the villain's really cool. The villain is I can't remember his name, but he's like obsessed with like old 40s cartoons. So he's like really creepy, really like he's always crying all the time, and like it's really creepy. But yeah, like reading this, I was like, oh my god, like I cannot wait for the Batman Part 2. Like the Batman Part 2 needs to come out like tomorrow. Like
with Dick Grayson as well.
Yeah, literally, that'll be exciting to see. But yeah, like this is by Rafael Grampa with Matthew Lopez. Amazing artwork, amazing story. I really can't. I think there's 3 issues in this run, but they're like pretty. I don't know if you can see that, but they're pretty thick.
Yeah. I've seen it up close. It's a pretty thick run. Yeah.
It's a thick run, so I think it's only going to be 3 issues.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, DC Black Label is unbelievable. What DC been doing with their Black Label stuff. I also picked up the Last Days of Lex Luthor, the new Superman, which I didn't even know they had. I remember you came up to me like, "Hey Toby, have you seen this?" I was like, "Well, that's coming home with me."
Yeah, that's it. I remember that too. It was funny as fuck.
I
that
didn't even have to look at the title. I just saw the yes. I was like, "That's coming
I
home
was
with
like,
me."
I seen that song before. I was like, yeah, there's no way this man like has himself to at some point. He's like, no, it's coming home with me. Like, you're coming home with me.
You're
like,
coming home with me.
Oh my God, so good.
But no, I highly recommend this. It's such an amazing book. I cannot wait for issue 3. As soon as issue 3 drops, I'm going to the city. I'm picking it up.
Yeah.
Cool. But that's it. I think I mean we haven't uploaded in a while, so it was kind of nice to get back to normal.
Yeah, definitely. Represent.
For the next episode, I think if me and Liam are trying to plan a really big Spider-Man episode, which I won't be on. Liam and a bunch of his friends.
Yeah. So we'll have maybe like Cooper and Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson, Jacob, and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
Me and Liam are currently planning that now. So that's an episode me and Liam are really excited to work on and release and edit and.
For sure.
But so that will come out hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Definitely not next week. I have to try and play around with a lot of things, but it's definitely...
Yeah, me too. I've got to educate myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely in the works. It's something me and Liam are really keen on doing. But I was thinking next episode, we'll talk about it if we can do something a bit different. More from Marvel DC, we'll do independent stuff. So like Invincible, The Boys, Hellboy, and just like a bunch of independent comic book stuff that we've read and watched. So I think that'll be next episode. But I think it was nice, like we were saying before, just to be back to normal. I had a really blast filming this episode. And obviously something that bro, you gotta start that soon, dog. I'll let you do it. Now that you have it, I'll let you do it.
I'm gonna say, man, listen, man, I'm gonna fly through Superior Spider-Man. I'm gonna love it, right? But my boy here has given me the manga to read.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, so you gonna hand me the permission to say it?
Yeah, I'll give you permission to say it. Now you have something you can show to the camera. I'll give you permission to say it.
Okay. I must say. Look, I'm really keen to get into this.
This is definitely gonna be. Is this your favorite moment in your entire life right now? Doing this?
I think it is, man. I think it's like I'm holding the sacred text right now.
That I was at Marion QBD Books. And with our friend Matthew, and because you know how they got like really cheap comics in there sometimes, like $10, $15 comics.
Yeah.
Obviously it was right next to the mangas, and they had all the Dragon Ball stuff.
Yeah.
So I got Dragon Ball Super Volume 1, and I put it in the religious section. I just put it like, and then Matt left. I don't really hope it's still there.
Respect.
This is the Bible to me, dog. I pray to this book.
Fucking oh God.
I pray to Goku.
Alright, my laptop's gonna die soon. Okay. Alright, without further ado, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode, man. Really enjoyed going over our favorite Marvel and DC origin stories. And just want to say, the first time, probably.
For you the first time.
For you the first time, yeah. Hope to see you guys in the next episode. Just so you guys all know, Goku fucking negs!